Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. I'm the Crypto Crow. Today we're going to talk about some Cardano drama. Now, I actually just saw this right up here, and there's a lot to unpack with this. So we're going to dive into it a little bit because I think it's a little unnecessary, and I'm not quite sure as to the exact reason for the FUD overall, but it's some might think it's pretty damning, but I'm taking kind of an opposite approach to this. Now, the founding entities of Cardano are competing with its community. That's the title of this thing. And basically what it boils down to in a nutshell is different arms of the Cardano trio, whether you're talking about IOHK, Emergo, the Cardano Foundation, what have you, each of which having its own specific function, right? You've got the marketing arm, the commercial arm, so forth and so on, the development arm. And basically there's an argument being presented that ultimately these groups are going after community built projects and basically trying to China them. I mean, in a way, like basically they're saying, oh, look what you built. We like that. We're going to build it too. And we're going to issue our own version of it. And it's ticking some people off, right? Rightfully so to some degree. But the argument is, should there only be one of anything? You know, I mean, so we'll dive into it a little bit, and then I'm going to get into my rationale. So Emergo Ventures, at the beginning of his report, Ashish directs his attention towards Emergo Ventures, the company arm and one of the founding entities of Cardano that were allocated in total of over 2 billion Cardano, or ADA, and their projects feature on Cardano Spot, a Cardano-based social media site developed by Emergo. Ashish points out that the striking similarities of the project feature on Cardano Spot and project feature on Cardano Cube, a platform that has been operating for a considerable amount of time as the ultimate hub to catalog all active Cardano projects. And they're showing some of the similarities. Personally, I like the way Cardano Cube looks better. I like the UI a little better. And Cardano Spot looks more like a WordPress site. You know, it looks like a WordPress directory more than anything. So I actually like, for all I know, Cardano Cube is. I don't know. I haven't dove into the code or anything. But I actually use Cardano Cube, and I've been using it. I've been using it for what I've got coming for a lot of these deep dive videos that I've got in the works. And so I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, so there was Cardano Cube and now there's Cardano Spot, which is basically created by Emergo. And I'm thinking to myself, I understand how Cardano Spot could be frustrated by this. But at the same note, if Ford stopped making cars at the Model T, where would we be today? If other car manufacturers, other car companies even stopped making other cars because there was already the Model T, where would we be today? So while this could be frustrating, especially given the Project Catalyst and things of that nature, I mean, I have so blocks in development. I've been paying for all of it out of pocket. I have a personal friend that's also investing, and it's like, we're building a project that we would love some Cardano to help fund this thing. I've never gotten anywhere with Project Catalyst. I find it extremely confusing. And the last time I was going to we had everything ready. We were going to submit, and then they pushed out the deadline or whatever, like by 3 or 4 months. And then I forgot. And then I'm like, it's like a big, it's frustrating. Right. But it is what it is. And so you just kind of suck it up and you have to keep pushing forward. And while that would help significantly, what if we get so blocks built to the hilt and it's just blowing up, and then one of these other companies or one of these 3 arms of Cardano decides, well, they want to build a social media platform as well, and they want to basically build something similar to Soblox. Would that upset me? Well, yeah, it probably would. But at the same time, I'd have to assume so here's the way I'm looking at it. Who knows how long Cardano Cube will exist? Who knows if it's not shut down tomorrow? Who knows what the overall outcome. I mean, there are a lot of projects that are on Cardano Cube that have already gone belly up, defunct, disappeared, not really doing much of anything, right? And when I see that, I'm like, who's monitoring this? Like, who's keeping? Because honestly, I feel like a lot of these projects shouldn't be listed. They shouldn't be taking up space or wasting people's time, even looking through them as an option for anything, because they're useless now. It's just trash. And somebody needs to take out the trash, okay? And so now we have Cardano Spot, which is obvious that it's meant to be a competitor for Cube. And while it can be frustrating, and it looks like, you know, the big, well-funded corporate group is basically trying to overstep and directly compete with something that already exists, maybe that's the case. But in the free market, isn't it kind of the way business goes to, you know, if you see something out there that looks worthwhile, you create your own version, may the best one win. You know, isn't that what competition is kind of all about? And I get it. Everybody's saying, oh, well, this is basically Cardano competing with its community. But is it? You know, I guess to some degree, yes. But as a blockchain project that's looking to increase adoption and things of that nature, the argument is, should they create a competing platform, or should they just help support the one that already exists? Why not both? Why not both? That's the way I see it, because we don't know how Cardano Cube is hosted. We don't know who's operating. I don't know who's operating it, building it, maintaining it. We don't know anything about that. It could be gone tomorrow, and then what? Then we have no directory. So to have more than one, to me, is actually a good thing. Even if the Cardano Spot isn't necessarily widely adopted initially, but it's maintained and updated in case something happens to Cube, well, that to me is a good thing, because then we have an alternative. It's kind of like a lot of YouTubers who will back up everything to Rumble in case something happens to their YouTube. It's not, we're not trying to compete with our YouTube channel. We just want to make sure that we have another outlet should anything happen, or the unforeseen. You know, channels disappear all the time without a trace, and nobody knows why or what was said or what caused it. It just happens. The algorithm decides it doesn't like you one day, and we don't have any control over that. The same way we don't have any control over what happens with Cardano Cube. So I understand the frustration, but I still think it's a necessary thing, because Emergo, Cardano Foundation, IOHK, they're not just trying. I don't think it's necessarily as much about competing, but making sure that the ideas that are put into place to help build and expand the community remain. And that is my percent. Like, if I ran these companies, that's how I would look at it. But at the same token, let's say somebody creates a really good idea. Maybe I would just buy them out and make sure that it's maintained, rather than create a competitive version of it. You know, hey, you've done a really good job. We want to reward you for that work. We want to buy this project. If you'd like, we'll pay you to keep working on it, but we want to basically make sure that it's there forever without any unforeseen situation. That I could see as a much more beneficial, universally beneficial approach to this, rather than just say, well, we're going to create a competitor. So there are a lot of different ways of slicing the cake, and it looks like they chose the worst of all of them, right? Like, hey, we're just going to come up with our own competing version, and we're going to exclude you. And I don't like that approach. I mean, it definitely is kind of a hammer fist approach. So I will say I disagree with that altogether. They should probably check themselves, because this kind of mentality is not going to help with adoption. So if anyone out there from Emergo or Charles or anybody out there is listening, somebody needs to rethink this strategy a little bit, because I think it's better, if you're going to go after and create competition, why do that when you could just buy out the current platform and keep everyone happy, right? That's the way I believe it should be done, especially if you're, and they're saying, well, we can recreate this using our resources for a fraction of the cost. Why would we spend more money? Well, to some degree, it's about branding. It's about commitment, right? You're rewarding people who are helping to build to build on your community, to build on your yeah, I mean, you get what I'm saying, right? It does. The more I think about it, the more it does kind of bother me a little bit. I literally hit record as I'm reading through this, and I read through the end, and I'm like, listen, there are a lot of different ways of looking at this. But yeah, I can see the pattern. The community comes up with ideas and builds a platform, and then the entities with seed money just copy them. I believe the community should just stop inventing and let the trilogy build everything. That's the kind of mentality that this is going to establish, kind of going after this with like a little bit more of a draconian kind of approach to things instead of a community sharing approach. And I think that's where Emergo screwed up, and that's where the trilogy is ultimately screwing up. Because the second you start showing that you're truly disconnected from your community is the minute your community's going to disconnect from you. And that's just the way it's going to go, because all of these crypto projects, blockchains and otherwise, it's all still in its infancy. I know that it may not seem that way to most who have been around a while like I have, but this is all still very much in its infancy, okay? And there's still so much more room to grow. And there's also still room for competitors to, squeeze in and start taking some market share from people that stop playing their cards properly. Let that be a warning. Input, output, global. Additionally, Ashish includes IOG, the technical for profit arm of another founding entity of Cardano, in the report detailing their initiatives to develop the Lace Light Wallet, despite the plethora of community-built light wallets already available and massively used. I'm going to say this right off the spot. When it comes to wallets, I would much rather have a wallet put out by IOG or Emergo for that matter, even though the Yoroi wallet is, in my opinion, trash. I don't use it. Anybody that does try to use it for minting NFTs or anything, they always run into a bunch of problems. So I always put everybody on NAMI wallet. Like, if you're going to mint NFTs, you're going to go get a Murder of Crows NFT or whatever, just use NAMI, because Yoroi is not going to help you. Unless it's been fixed. I don't know, but I doubt it. I'm not sure. So, the Lace wallet is actually a really nice wallet, but I have little issues with it all the time. It's always syncing and it's always doing something, and it's not very quick. For what a light wallet should be, Lace wallet has some flaws until those are addressed. And I love the way it looks and feels and the way it functions and operates, though. But when it comes to a wallet, I feel more comfortable using a wallet put out by Input, Output, or basically any of the trio. If Cardano Foundation came out with a wallet, I'd probably say I'd feel safer using that than some random wallet that somebody in the community built. That's just me being very honest. So, and the thing of it is because I feel the way I do, I'm sure IOHK, I'm sure they understand that sentiment, right? And it makes sense for them to do this. I don't fault them for this. The Cardano Cube thing, that's a little sus. This, I get it, because I'd prefer that anyway. And Eternal Wallet and NAMI Wallet, they're all good. Like, so far, they've been proving themselves to be very solid, but I still prefer something that's put out by the official company. The Cardano Foundation, finally, is the founder of Cardano Scan, the premier Cardano Explorer used by thousands of people across the world. Ashish expressed his frustration with the Cardano Foundation, allocating funding and development efforts towards building a Cardano Explorer eerily similar, and in some cases identical, to Cardano Scan. So, again, man, it's like, I understand, and I hear this gentleman, I hear Ashish, and I understand his argument, and I totally get it. I get the frustration. But listen, if you created anything, I mean, it seems like some of the three most key, I guess you could call them expansion conduits, right? You've got a full-blown directory of everything on the blockchain. You've got a scan, and you've got a wallet. Three things that are ultimately going to significantly help anybody that has a genuine interest in the blockchain, building on the blockchain, you name it. I just think that they want these types of things in the hands or control of the companies that are building the blockchain. And if it were something silly, right? Like, oh, I create a murder of crows, and then all of a sudden Emergo comes out and launches a crow NFT collection. I'd be like, wait a minute, WTF? Like, what's happening, right? It's not necessary. It's a pure slight, right? That's not what I see happening here. I see these companies basically saying, listen, we've been so focused on building the blockchain itself and doing everything necessary to get this where we want it to be. And luckily there have been community members who have, done, it's just like when I did my, my fair launch for the Crow tokens, right? I put them out there. We set up the protocol. We locked everything in. I donated all this Cardano to the liquidity pool. I did all this stuff and I publicly announced it. And bam, the people were getting that thing and jacking the price up on me before I was even able to buy my own stuff, right? And it's like, okay, now I'm only able to get a much less amount than I originally planned for. I didn't realize that everybody's going to run out and grab some and ultimately push the price up. And it's like, okay, well, that's just what happens. And here, but I also ate that. I eat that in the sense that, well, I was expecting to be able to get this many tokens. I only got this many. That's what happens, right? And it's like, I'm not crying about it because the community that appreciates me and what I do ran out and picked those up just to have something of me, right? And I consider that my legacy token, and that's okay. This type of situation is if these guys weren't able to put this stuff together, Cardano Foundation, Emergo, whatever, if they weren't able to put this stuff together before the community did, I think it's only best and fair that they buy out these, and it's not too late. I really think that they need to buy out these companies or these community-based projects that have done a hell of a job supporting the community and stop biting the hands that are feeding them. And I mean that wholeheartedly. So you companies out there, rather than create these competitive platforms that are ultimately smacking your community in the mouth, I really think it's time for you to check yourselves. Drop I don't know if it's ego. I don't know if it's just, I don't know what it is, but it's even putting a bad taste in my mouth to see this kind of shit. As a supporter of Cardano since 2017, and I've had my own kind of like my little not gut check moments over the years with related to various things associated with Cardano. I love the project. I love what they're building, and you can't deny the technology behind it and what I believe is going to be the. I believe Cardano is absolutely going to take the world by storm over this bull cycle, but stuff like this is not going to help. And I would seriously like to see Emergo, Cardano Foundation, all of you groups that have an abundance of cash. How about you start rewarding your fucking community instead of smacking them around and taking advantage of their hard work? I understand the reason why you'd want to have these platforms, the new wallet, the directory, all of these things, and I understand how you'd want them under your control, but do it the right way. Because if you start basically operating with some sort of draconian methodology to how you're dealing with your community and these applications, you're going to lose the very community that helped build you into who the fuck you are right now. And that's just the way I feel about it. Until next time, guys, crow your coins.